Welcome to this week's Members Weekly group coaching session as part of the Personal Brand Hub. The Personal Brand Hub is a community which I've created for founders on a similar mission to build a strong and memorable personal brand that positions them as the go-to experts in their industry by being more themselves. And this week is really all about being more yourself because it's about being cringe or what people perceive to be as cringe. And everything you want is on the other side of cringe. And I am the living embodiment of that, running my previous business, which I'll come on to a little bit of story time in a second. So if you've been here before, you'll recognize my personal brand framework for founders, the Be More You framework, which I absolutely love and adore. And it's everything I stand by and everything that I teach my clients to follow and share. And when shared consistently, you attract better clients, better opportunities, better talent, and better funding. And what I mean by better is better aligned. I'm actually going to put there. That's better. That's a better way of putting it. So you've got your beliefs, so what you stand for and what you stand against, your experiences, so what's made you the person you are today, the moments, the things that are going on day to day in your business and life, opinions, because if you don't share your opinions, then you know, why would anyone listen to someone that hasn't got any opinions? It's incredibly vanilla, and it also makes you a lot more memorable, makes your personal brand a lot more memorable. Results, a little bit of social proof doesn't go amiss sometimes, telling people how great you are, other people saying how great you are, sorry. Expertise, you're bloody good at what you do, so teach people your process and your why, what gets you out of bed. Others, appreciating others, so it could be mentors, colleagues, clients that you've worked with in the past, why you appreciate them. And unfiltered, drop the professionalism sometimes, people. It gets incredibly dull and boring. It's not very memorable. And to be honest, you're probably not being yourself. So why am I the living embodiment of everything I want is on the other side of cringe? Well, when I ran my first business, I was struggling for the first 12 months. You've probably heard this story many times. And out of sort of desperation to put food on the table, I jumped in front of the camera making these horrifically cringy videos where there was no sound. It was just some silly, trendy music in the background. And I used to just jump around on screen, pointing at shit and nodding my head. And I used to get my family members involved. And if you look back at them now, I kind of wince a bit, even now, even though I stand for being cringe. Um, these were next level. But guess what? They worked. They worked a bloody treat. And it was at a time when LinkedIn respected videos, and I got some of my biggest clients through LinkedIn because of these videos. And as a side note, which is sort of relevant to this, is what I was doing in these videos, the purpose of them. Yes, they were funny, and yes, they stood out because I was willing to be cringe. But also they were debunking and answering typical myths within my industry that I was fed up of hearing, to be honest. So I thought, how can I get rid of these myths in my industry? So I jumped in front of the camera and I started talking, like this one, for example, was talking about the cost of health insurance. This is how much I spend on Pure Gym, how much I spend on alcohol or going down the pub. And then this is how much I spend on my health insurance per month. And it was the cheapest. Did you know? Did you know you could access different hospitals? And stuff like that. Stuff that I used to compare it to the American system. So really, I was debunking myths with that in my industry, and that's one of the best content ideas that you can take is answering questions that people typically ask you. And because I was being myself and prattling around and being silly, people bought into me. They saw the real me prattling around, and they saw I was a bit of granted I am a bit of an extrovert, as many of you may know, but it really worked in my favor, and it helped people to get to know, like, and trust me. So what's killing your personal brand? Well, it's probably your comfort zone. And here's a picture of me yesterday in an engine room, sweating more than a, I won't say it on this recording because I'll probably get cancelled. Um, but I was, yeah, that's me in an uncomfortable zone. So I'm pushing myself. Why are you in your comfort zone, and why is that killing your personal brands? It's probably feeling a bit cringy because it's probably you being the real you. That's probably what's uncomfortable about it. You are recognizing that perhaps, oh, that's the real me there. And if you play it safe and you stay in your comfort zone, it just makes you forgettable. You blend in with the rest. And what's your number one goal, Gary, with building a personal brand, opposite to being forgettable?
Be more you. Be there's only one you, so and you're unique. Nobody else can
Yeah.
copy you.
And what happens when you're uniquely you? People remember you.
People remember you. People
You,
trust you. People maybe like you or don't like you.
yeah.
Find you
And if
annoying.
they don't like you, Sodom.
Aye, next, please.
Exactly. The edge of cringe is where that emotional buy-in is bought because as I constantly preach and as any personal branding person would say that people buy from people, not an AI chatbot. What is actually stopping you, Gary? I want you to step in here. What is the number one fear? Is it fear of judgment? It could be fear of inconsistency. Can I keep this up? Can I show up every day? Or is it for me, when I was sort of stepping out my comfort zone, it was the fear of looking unprofessional. People told me, Ben, you must look professional. Ben, shave the mustache. Ben, don't swear. Look, it sounds terrible. Fuck off. That's me. So, Gary,
Yeah.
what was stopping you?
Well, I think it's probably for me, it was definitely imposter syndrome.
Oh, okay.
Watching loads of other people doing videos on TikTok or Instagram and thinking that looks really professional, that looks really well done. Can I recreate some? Can I create my own thing like this? So, and I meet a lot of people, a lot of clients who say, I don't want to be filmed on camera. I don't want to see my photo. I don't like hearing my voice. I don't like seeing my photo, or I don't like seeing my image. And
Yeah,
I have to kind of try and remind people that people buy from people. And and I'll sometimes
yeah,
support people by saying, but you've got a lovely personality. You're really good on camera. You're really kind of bubbly and stuff. So I think people just need the confidence to actually do it.
yeah,
And recently I've been doing a lot more talking to the camera and just getting more comfortable with that, with my face and my voice. And
takes time.
yeah,
Takes time.
yeah. So it's just, yeah, it's time. And it's also about doing it and then getting good feedback and people saying, "Oh, I like that. I've seen your talking head video." So it's
People
just,
can tell. People can. I said it on the podcast, and I say this sometimes. This is a phrase I've made up. I haven't taken anywhere, but humans have fantastic authenticity receptors.
mm,
They are brilliant. I said on the podcast they're as strong as dogs' sense of smell for whatever shit they might be smelling. But consciously or not, humans can really tell whether you're being authentic or not. And just quickly on the imposter syndrome thing you mentioned, and looking at other people, that is one of the biggest things I hear from people that I speak to and clients. And I've done a lot of content on this to try and rebuff and make people really not, yeah, feel better about themselves. Is you need to remember that there is, as you said, Gary, there is only one you. And once you build a memorable personal brand, there isn't such thing as competition. What's meant for you will find you, and what's not meant for you will find your competitor, and they will glow and happily and gladly work for them. So if you ever see your perceived competitors, or for you perhaps it would be someone making a nice glossy video online that you think, God, bloody hell, I could never do that or whatever. People don't always look for loads of polished shite. They
mm.
look for they look that someone out there are lots of people out there looking for Gary's or Gary, sorry, I shouldn't say plural, but they're looking for Gary. They're
Well,
looking for,
for example, Gary V, who makes
yeah,
short reels and very,
yeah,
successful businessman. A lot of his videos are just him sitting talking to the camera or talking to a person, and they're very short and they're not
yeah,
overproduced and they're not cringy either because you know it's him. You can tell
yeah,
that he's not putting on a show or acting. He's just
yeah,
speaking from the heart really about business and saying to
yeah.
people, just get on with it and do it, And
The most successful people, the most successful personal brands are the most authentic ones.
yeah, definitely.
And you won't please everyone. If you've no, this has just come to my head actually. If you notice Stephen Bartlett's starting to become a kind of hated a bit, and I've just thought about some of my own advice that I say to people. Your aim is not to be liked by everyone in personal branding. Your aim is to be liked by the right people. And so with Stephen Bartlett, with people not liking him now, it's probably actually a good thing.
Yeah,
He's probably
yeah,
pushing away the people that don't align with him anymore. He's finding his personal brand and he's finding that true authenticity. Yeah, I see
yeah.
him as a bit of a twat because he just constantly fucking talks about like advertisements and stuff and gives people a platform that spout absolute nonsense.
That's true.
But he's probably thinking to himself, I don't care. So
No,
what? It's like Andrew Tate, that muppet. But
yeah.
he's a case in point of not giving a toss and being more you. You have a personal brand for good or bad,
Very
right?
true. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right. The charisma equation. Be yourself just 1.5 times louder. If you're making video content, try and find that inner authenticity, which can take time because it takes repetition, as I've said. It can take years to find true authenticity. And it's one of the reasons that I post my bloopers is they're not very particularly relevant to personal branding. Well, they are particularly relevant because it's me being truly me. And it gives people an understanding of what I am like um, you know, when the camera is rolling, but yeah, it's kind of tricky. I feel like that's me being my authentic self, and therefore I post them for people to understand my authentic self. With personal branding, it's not about creating a personal brand. You will never use language like creating a personal brand. Your personal brand is what you already have. You're not starting from scratch. You're literally just amplifying who you already are to the outside world. You're taking the clarity that you've gained, uh, for example, through my coaching, what you stand for, what you stand against, what your experiences are, what your true expertise is, and then you just start talking about that in a way that resonates with the right people. So you're building a personal brand. That's the see what it says there. I build banging personal brands. I don't create banging personal brands. Your personal brand is already there. Everyone has a personal brand. If you've been recommended a client to work with in the past by someone, Gary, Roxy, that means you have a personal brand. Your reputation is speaking for you, right?
Yeah.
Um, what other what other thing would be an
So
indication of a personal brand? Have you been invited to any podcasts or gigs or
yeah, I've recently been invited on a podcast that I'm going to be doing next month, and I think I think what's helped me is networking and being
yeah,
on online networking, and because people get to see the real you,
yeah,
because especially online networking, it's difficult to kind of you know um hide behind a persona, and so what I've found is through doing online networking, people getting to know me and then saying, I'd like to work with you, Gary. You sound like you know what you're talking about, or somebody I could easily work with, somebody that I could
yeah,
get along with. Um, and you can do that either online or in person, because if you're on networking in person, meeting people,
yeah,
they'll either take to you or they won't take to you. And if they take to you, you're like, okay, great, let's see where this can go. So yeah,
yeah, exactly. Push if yeah, that I'm quite keen to. In fact, we'll do it in our next session. But I've just learned something from working with my friend Colby, which I will share with you. And it's about having genuine conversations with people that are not salesy, that's just a virtual coffee chat, and having those conversations with no real agenda, but it's really just to understand whether you're going to get along as people. And if you don't, great. You don't have to waste your time having to
Yeah,
work with that person. If
yeah.
you're working with the wrong people, firstly, your personal brand's giving out the wrong message. Your people don't understand your personal brands. People, if you're being recommended bad clients, you need to have a serious chat with those people. But yeah, it's important to remember you're not an Apple kettle. You don't need to serve every mug. That's my new favorite saying.
That's great. Yeah.
I think I might put that in my bio.
Yeah.
What people actually remember. As I said here in one of my posts recently, your aim isn't to attract every Dick, Joe, and Harry, whether as clients, talents, or investors. You're not an office kettle. There you go. Said it again. They remember the stories that made you the person you are today, your experiences, the E within Be More You, the moments where you completely embarrassed yourself. Is that spelt right? Embarrassed? The
No,
moments where you
I think embarrassed. Is it?
embarrassed. Okay.
Yes.
Embarrassed.
Embarrassed.
Thank you for that lovely accent
And
there.
I'm dyslexic, so
Oh, are you? I've never
yeah,
noticed. Never
yeah, no,
noticed.
yeah, really bad.
You've never bloody told me that. That's. I'm
Oh,
gonna.
sorry. I'm
I'm,
really, yeah, I'm really dyslexic and things like yeah, spelling, and we spoke about this before about certain words. When you type them or you write them, you kind of double take and you don't trust yourself. You're like, I'm sure I've spelled ambulance wrong.
I think you should really hone that. I've seen some people on social media, mostly LinkedIn, that have really owned their dyslexia, and
Yeah.
they'll post posts with spelling mistakes. People clearly know what you're trying to fucking say, mate. Like loads of people have dyslexia. It's not like it's
No,
abnormal.
no, that's what I use, and that's why I use AI to help
Yeah,
correct it. But over the years, I've had like when I used to work in temping agencies, I used to work
yeah,
in offices, and I can't recall the alphabet or the months of the year,
yeah,
right? I must have missed that day at school or something, but it just doesn't sit. It's
yeah,
just
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
there. So I
yeah,
have little kind of rhymes and words or little word plays I use for like the alphabet, and it was
yeah,
difficult working in offices because you'd have to maybe file things or alphabetically, and I
yeah.
would J and go, what comes after J or what? I, so I would
Oh,
have
I can't do that without doing the whole alphabet. I have to go A B C D E F G H I J K
L,
L L.
yeah.
Yeah, so I have to do the whole thing like you. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
my mum's got really bad dyslexia, and so she leaves me little notes, and they're hilarious because only I can understand what she's saying. And if I showed you them like text messages, you'd be like, "What? What does that say?" And I don't want to,
I'm gonna note.
I don't want to raise this as a kind of big thing because I don't want to take the piss. You know what I mean? And my mum.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'll have a think about. I can definitely think about using
I'm
that.
gonna, yeah, I'm gonna bring that up next session with you and I, because
Yeah.
I don't think you should be hiding that at all.
Aye.
I've seen people really successful with dyslexia on LinkedIn, and they go fuck AI. I'm just gonna write and add the mistakes in there. People know
Yeah.
what you're trying to say, mate. Um, the time you were paddling up Schitt's Creek and how you turned it around. These are good content ideas, by the way. And yeah, the cringe makes you memorable, which equals magnetic, and that's your true and one goal in personal branding is to be remembered when you're not in the room, but also to control that narrative as well. What do you want to be remembered for? You need to be remembered for your values? You need to be remembered for your beliefs. You need to be remembered for what you're good at. And because if you're not remembered clearly for those things, guess what? You're going to be referred or be approached by the wrong clients, the wrong opportunities, the wrong uh, talent if you want to hire, and the wrong investors for your company. They're not going to get you. So making it totally and utterly clear. How to start showing up as you. Um, okay, this is a bit of a big question. Not a question, but a bit of a big statement because really, in a nutshell, it takes time. It takes practice. It takes repetition to remember the equation. So authenticity equals personality times repetition. It just takes time for you to start understanding who you truly are And you'll find that now with me recently, I've started to make some pretty outrageous content, which is starting to but also it mixes in with what I stand for. I'm starting to call out people on LinkedIn because I'm like, sod it, I don't care. Like, if you know, I'm making a stand on something, it's also making me memorable. Ben is now going to be the guy that's like, oh, Ben's the guy that calls out people on LinkedIn that are using automated chat things and stuff. I comment like I go on the hunt for these things now, and I comment on them. Like there was a girl that's like, what's one thing you stand for? And someone put a comment below that was automated clearly, and I go, pointing down, the one thing I stand against is people that use automated commenters on LinkedIn. Did you see that?
I've seen that a lot more in the last couple of weeks. People raising this as a post and saying, stop using ChatGTP to write your replies for you because it's really obvious. It
It's
is.
just stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if you're going to comment, which is a good strategy, which is a fantastic strategy on LinkedIn, by the way. I've done a post about this because it takes a lot less effort. And I commented on someone's viral post the other day and got 800 impressions on the comment. My
Hmm.
comment got 800 impressions, and I got like 10 different connection requests from that. So commenting is a bloody great way. So really, in answer to this slide, takes repetition, but other things you can do: talk to the camera like you're voice and noting a mate. Practice if you're going to script it, practice it, and try not to just read off the script. You can tell, as I said, humans' authenticity receptors are very strong. There you go. Use ChatGPT for inspiration. Do not write the script with it. What I tend to find works best nowadays is not forcing content, um, but instead getting content ideas from the conversations that I'm having on a regular basis. I had a chat with my friend Colby yesterday, and following our conversation, he did a post based off our conversation. And I was like, oh, it's a genius. But that's when you should be writing posts, is off the back of client meetings, off the back of networking events. And what you can do is one of the strategies I'm going to be doing moving forward is having coffee chats with people, like one-to-ones, no pressure. I'm not going to sell you shit. But really, it's a chance for me to go, what are you struggling with in the business at the moment? What are you struggling with in your online presence? What's something that cringes you out, for example? And then I take that conversation and go, oh shit, there's three content ideas right there. And then as soon as I start making content ideas about that, they speak to the other people that are probably going through the same issues. So that's a really good strategy there is booking one-to-one coffee chats. Don't make it about yourself. Don't sell. Talk about them. People love talking about themselves and take control of the situation and ask them loads of questions and make them feel valued and heard. And the questions you ask will then give you content ideas off the back of that. So it's a win-win for you, mate.
And
Yeah,
that's a brilliant content idea, right? Because you take those recordings, those little videos, and you make content with it.
yeah,
Like you say,
exactly.
and like you say, it's not about you. So if I was meeting with someone,
Yeah,
so if you and I were having a conversation and I recorded it, I would sit and go through it and just take the best bits where you might say something controversial or funny. And I would
yeah,
like make a little reel out of that. You know, a little 30, 40-second reel.
yeah,
Perfect. And
yeah,
it's endless content. That's a brilliant idea.
exactly. It speaks directly to the people that you want to target, that you want to feel heard. They feel heard.
And
Um,
it's not scripted and it can't and it's really genuine and authentic because you're just having a conversation. You're
yeah,
having a chat.
yeah. Like you
And
the other, like you the other day. I'm not going to say it on the recording, but you created content off the back of a real life experience. Those are the fucking gold content ideas.
yeah.
Right? And I like how you did that even after I gave you some content ideas to write because you reacted. I don't reaction's not like a good turn of phrase, but like it is kind of good when it comes to content. You
Hmm.
should be reactive. You should be talking about things that are happening, moments, right? From the Be More You.
And
Go on.
when we first started, you were asking me what is it I don't like about the industry, what things, really wind me up that I want to talk. And
Yeah,
I couldn't think of any at the time. Now
yeah,
I could rail off two or three that I could talk about. And
yeah,
that's us having conversations and agreeing and saying, that really pisses me off or that winds me up. And something I want to just say about your first point, talk to the camera like your voice not on a mate.
Yeah.
When I first started, I was using scripts and I was using teleprompters and things. And then I stopped doing that because after watching the videos, I thought that looks too
Um,
too
inauthentic, like, yeah,
yeah, too produced.
yeah,
And it's so much better. So what I've been doing for my last few reels is thinking about what I want to say and
yeah,
keep thinking about how I'm going to say it, and then just start recording on film on
yeah,
my iPhone because you can do 5, 10, 100 takes
yeah,
until you're happy with one, and if you don't
yeah,
like them, you just delete them. It doesn't matter.
yeah.
But it's
Your
great.
your best takes will always be like the later ones. Like if you do one, your first take should always really be a warm up.
Yeah,
Uh, Second take, you'll find that you get better. Third take, fourth take,
yeah,
you just get better and better and better. I've been
yeah,
working with a young chap in the marina here who's 18 and he wants to start making content, and I've just been helping him out. And he's German, bless it. Well, I shouldn't say bless him, but he's a bit robotic in his language, shall we say, because he's German.
yeah.
And I've been trying to get him to just chill out and relax. And the first take is incredibly robotic. And then he goes, right, another one, another one. I'm like, okay, okay. By the fifth one, I make him laugh, and then we start recording, and then he's got a big grin on his face. Doesn't sound like a typical German robot. And I'm like, do you see how I've just made you relax there, and you're coming across like much more human?
Mm,
Um, so
yeah.
yeah, it can be great. You've got that benefit, Gary, of being able to work with people face to face. I don't get that opportunity to work here but you can help people relax into it, and
Mm,
it really works to your advantage
yeah.
and their advantage, of course. Um, right, we watch your first take, check whether it's being authentic or not. If it makes you cringe a little, guess what? It's probably absolute gold dust. Your cringe is someone else's permission. And what I mean by that is you will inspire others if you are willing to step outside your comfort zone. And I have had numerous messages. These are two in the past couple of weeks, but I used to get messages from my old business on LinkedIn saying how much people appreciate my content. And you're inspiring other people. People still remembered me from my old business to this day because of the kind of the cringy content that I made, but it inspired other people to go, actually, if Ben can do it, so can I. And that's really what you should be aiming for. And those people will remember you big time, and they're going to trust you big time. Being cringe isn't your enemy, people. Please remember that. So, cringe content ideas, or cringe content ideas for you this week. What's one story you've never shared publicly that says a lot about who you are? If your personal brand was based on top three opinions, don't take all four of these and go, shit, I have to make four content ideas. Take one that resonates with you and that you immediately go, oh shit, yeah, oh yeah, I could talk about that one, and use that one to post on Monday morning or something on Tuesday morning. If your personal brand was based on your top three opinions, what would they be? What's something you've changed your mind about recently and why? Like for me, it's like the thing on LinkedIn and everyone using chatbots. Um, and what do people always ask you about that you've never turned into content? Again, this is about the cadence of having genuine conversations and coffee chats with numerous different people, clients, prospects, networking buddies, friends, family, whatever. Ask them, what do you think about my industry? What do you think I do for a living? Okay, if you didn't know anything about my industry, what's one thing that you thought I did? Or what's one way you thought I help people? Or if they know a bit about your industry, what's one of the misconceptions or what's one belief that you have about my industry? There you go. Gold dust content right there. Righty ho. I'm gonna stop that there. Stop the recording.